Meeting of February 2nd, 2023. If I could please ask everyone to either silence or turn off your cell phones at this time. We have a couple of preliminary announcements on matters on our agenda today. Case 2022-164 is being deferred for one meeting. I'm going to read out that caption. And anybody who was planning on speaking on that here today, please note that it'll be back on the next agenda, which is February 16th, same location, 1 p.m. Case 2022-164 is a request for a variance from street setback and maximum building coverage requirements to construct a duplex at 3205 Granny White Pike. So that matter will be the one that's deferred, and it'll be back on this meeting's docket in 2 weeks. We have two other preliminary announcements. Two items on the agenda today are recommended for consent approval, subject to the board's agreement. Case 2023-8 is a request for a variance from the rear setback requirement to enclose an existing deck at 2324 Golden Oak Court within an R10 residential PUD zoning district. The applicant is seeking to reduce the rear setback from 20 feet to 12. The planning department has recommended approval. Was there anybody here who was anticipating speaking against that request? Okay, seeing none. Case 2022-13 is a request for a street setback variance to construct additions to the front of a single-family residence at 6004 Elizabethan Drive, zoned RS40. The applicant is seeking a 9.25 reduction from the contextual setback. Was anyone here anticipating speaking against that request? Seeing none, Mr. Chair and board members, we would ask if you agree for someone to make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
For the two items that have been approved today, just please note that you have 2 years from today to complete your building permit. At this time, you're free to stay if you'd like. It's a public meeting. Otherwise, your matter is concluded, and we'll send you a copy of the order from today's proceedings. Mr. Chair, the first case on public hearing today is case 2022-163. This is a request for approval of a zero setback addition to a non-conforming residential structure located at 146 Harris Street, zoned R20, OR20. The subject structure was constructed about 13 years ago, and they did so without first obtaining a building permit. There was a subsequent building permit application at that time that wasn't completed, and the property is now subject to proceedings before the Davidson County Environmental Court. The structure exists within a floodplain, and before you here is the zoning map of this area. You can see that it's located not far off Gallatin Pike in Madison. This is the aerial view of the neighborhood. This is a close-up of the aerial photo, and you can see that that's the rear structure that's the subject of today's proceedings, there to the rear with the brown roof. This is a street view of the dwelling. This is a photo that was taken in 2010 when the subject structure was still under construction. And the notes from 2010 and the permit application 2011 explain the reasons why the application didn't proceed at that time. So that's why the building permit was never actually issued. This is a photo of the structure now, and another photo from the rear of the structure. We have here the FEMA flood maps as well as the Metro stormwater buffer map. And this is the site plan on the right side of the screen, and to the left is a copy of the sketch that appears on the Davidson County Property Assessor's website. So you can see that the structure that they're proposing actually is a structure that does exist at this time. Is there anyone here in opposition to this request? Okay, and then is the applicant here? Parties that are here to present the case? Is anyone here to speak on this case at all? Okay, pursuant to board rules, Mr. Chair, typically if an applicant doesn't come forward, the matter would be withdrawn. Perhaps we should move this to the heel of the docket, see if the applicants do come forward and readdress it after our next hearing. Thank you.
I mean, we only have one other case in case they're running late. Does anybody have a problem with moving it to the heels? Okay, so we can move it to the heels of the docket.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
All right, we'll move on to our next public hearing. Case 2023-12. This is a request for variances from the street and side street setbacks for property located at 1700 Underwood Street, zoned RS5. The parcel has a non-conforming lot area of slightly under 4,000 square feet in a RS5 zone. The applicant is seeking to reduce the 20-foot street setback to 17.5 feet, so a 2.5-foot reduction is being requested from the street setback. And the applicant is asking to reduce the side street setback from 10 to 0. For some context regarding the side street setback request, the Metro zoning code does require a 10-foot side setback from the right-of-way line for this property. And this particular property has a right-of-way line that actually intrudes 10 feet into the property. So if approved, there would still be a 10-foot open space between the structure and the existing sidewalk, which also allows if the specs were, if the sidewalk was ever improved to the current specifications, it would still leave about a 5-foot open space between an expanded sidewalk with the green grass strip, as well as between that and where the structure would be if the board saw fit to grant the 0 side street setback. So with that explanation, here is the zoning map of this area. It's a 25-foot lot, as is the one next to it. Aerial view of this neighborhood. This is a view of the lot as it exists today, so it's unimproved land. And the site plan that was submitted by the applicant and the calculations and numbers and notations on the site plan are as I have described them. I believe that we do have parties in opposition. Okay, are you all here to present? Yeah. Okay. Okay, and then, sir, I believe you were going to speak in opposition to the request. All right, so you all will have 10 minutes to make your presentation. Are you both going to speak to the board? Okay, yeah, you're more than welcome to if you were going to speak in favor. If you could please come up to this table here. And then push there's a button that looks like a little person. If you push that, the red light should come on your microphone. And please just state your name and address for the board once you begin speaking, and you have 10 minutes to make your presentation.
My name is Payman Noman.
Can you set your address too, please?
My address is 4729 Danby Drive, Nashville, Tennessee, 37211.
Thank you.
I'm Tevry Tab, and
Your address?
My address is 316 Gilwood Drive, Nashville, Tennessee, but this is also my address as well. So
Can you speak up a little bit, ma'am?
Yes, I'm Tevry Tab. My address is 316 Gaywood Drive, Nashville, Tennessee. This is also like a secondary home for me, so it's the 1700 Underwood Street.
So the house was destroyed in the tornado, and they didn't get a chance to build the house at the time. And then when they went back to try to build the home, the setback really limit them as to what they can build. And it just doesn't make sense to follow the they can't even put the current house, the previous home on the property per the restrictions on the zoning. So we're trying to see if you guys can reduce those setbacks so we can build a property that is up to the neighborhood standards and something that's reasonable with square footage and everything.
Do you know what I'm looking at your site plan, do you know what the width of the lot is? Looks like it may be 25 or 30 feet.
It's 25, I believe.
Okay. And then the lot next to you looks like it's 25, but then the other two adjoining lots look to be bigger. Is that?
That's correct. Originally, the other lot was connected to our lot, but I guess the previous owner hadn't paid taxes, and so they split the lot up. And it just went up for auction, and so the owner next to it won the bid.
It was split before you bought it, or the person you're
it
representing
was.
bought it? Okay.
Yes.
Any other questions from the applicants?
I guess my main question, so you're only, and this may be a question for codes here. So the only thing at issue here is the side setback, or is there a front and a side setback that was at issue here?
I believe the front is a 2.5 foot request.
From the contextual or from the platted?
It's actually, because it's a local street, it's under that code section, it's a 20-foot setback from the street, which is Underwood, and then with the side setback, it's 10 feet from the right-of-way line on the 17th Avenue side, 17th Avenue.
Okay. So I'm seeing a reason, for your variance on the side setback, just to some level. Can you explain kind of what your hardship is as far as the front of the house? Like why can't it be, whatever, 2.5 feet further back on the lot?
We were hoping to have that. It's not a must. I think that would just give us a little bit more leeway as to what we can build over there and possibly put a deck so we're not so close to the other home. That was our only reason asking for that. The main side variance that we want is the side.
Okay. And so, on your other side, you got a 3-foot setback. Could you build a home with a 3-foot setback on the side street side, rather so you go from a 10 to 3 rather than 10 to 0? Is that feasible? I know it's probably not ideal for you, but is that fairly feasible to be able to build something?
It's not ideal if we're hoping to have what we requested to be able to build something.
How far back from the line was the existing structure that was damaged by the tornado? Do you know?
I don't know. I never saw the structure when it was there initially, so I have no idea. And there's really no old photos or anything that we can look back to see what it was.
Okay. Thanks.
Is your covered porch, I'm assuming it's not enclosed, is that fair to say?
It wasn't enclosed.
Okay. All right.
No.
Any more questions? Okay, we're going to hear from the opposition. I think you still will have some time to come back and give a rebuttal if you would like to. All right.
I'm going to pull up my phone so I can read something on it.
If you could state your name and address, please, for the record.
Mr. Lee, can you get your little button on it's down on the bottom part. No, there's the light. It should turn red.
Okay.
There we go.
Kenneth Lee, on property adjacent to this property, 1702 and 1704.
Can you state I believe we're supposed to get your residential address for the record, too.
1611 1611, 1613, 11th Avenue North.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. I rise to oppose this, my neighbor, read this. I, Kenneth Lee, owner of property 1702, 1704 Underwood, respectfully request that the Board of Zoning Appeal not approve applicant's request for any variance setback on this property known as 1700 Underwood. Said applicant/owner is not in compliance with Tennessee Code annotated 1317-370 of the review standards, 13-7-207 and 17-12-035 street setbacks. In addition, I do not believe the applicant's request is in compliance with the special setback regulations requirement, section 17.12.030. I have been a resident of North Nashville for most of my life. I was born in Nashville, and I've been a member of this community all my life. I'm not versed in this matter. I got notice. I talked to my councilman. He reached out to somebody named Mr. Hodges, who did not contact me to let me know about this. So I'm kind of late coming in on this. I've spoken to a couple of my neighbors, particularly the picture up there on 17th, that's across the street from the side street of 1700. It's a nice house up there. I talked to the owners. They did not receive notice. I talked to the neighbor, and they didn't seem like they were, happy with this from what they heard from me.
When you say the neighbor, which neighbor, sir?
If she can pull up that house, she got the house up there.
Hey, I think we're having some technical difficulties.
Okay.
We'll try it. They're trying to,
Okay.
I think.
Okay.
I guess, is it a neighbor adjoining this property, or is it just a neighbor in the neighborhood?
Well, I'm the only person adjoining the property, right? But across the street on the side street that she's asking for a setback is the owner that I'm speaking of. That person is pictures up there.
Is that visible in this picture here? Like
It will be. She's got the picture of the house. It's another picture.
Okay. But it's within 1,000 feet.
Oh, absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely. Yeah. And I talked to the person that's next to me on 1704. I spoke to both of those property owners, and he was not in agreement with this. I don't know what question you'd like to ask me, but I don't think this is a hardship, in my opinion. I attempted to purchase this property from Mr. Hassan way back. And by the way, I want to have sympathy for someone who's lost their house in a tornado, because I lost my house in that tornado. 1704 Underwood. I was living there when the tornado hit. So I do recognize that that was something that no one, intended to happen. Subsequently, I offered to buy Mr. Hassan's property. Him and his brother, his brother's into real estate out of town, and offered them $70,000 for the property. Well, subsequently, they declined it, and the next thing I knew, I saw it being offered for $210,000. So if the hardship is about he has a problem selling the property, which is what I'm reading here, he's saying he's having a problem selling the property. Well, if he came within range of a reasonable amount, property would be sold. And that's why no one ever bought the property. He started off at 210, he went down to 165,000, and I think it just came off Zillow list in January. So again, not being, from what I'm saying, this is a hardship as far as I'm concerned. I mean, they want to pull a house out in front, stick out like a sore thumb in that neighborhood, and that's not what the city had applied. I guess they had spoke to the people in that community, including myself, or I lived in that community, and got a indication of what they wanted, or told the city what they wanted, and we agreed with what the city's plans are. So my statement is, why change it? I don't want it changed. Pulling a house out in front of my house, in front of my property, would impede could very well cause a hardship for me in terms of selling the property. But again, it's just not in the plans, city plans, for it to be done. So I don't understand why you want to.
Mr. Lee, you stated you own, in the photo, you can see the photograph that's on the screen?
Sure.
The house that's, so there's a house highlighted in red, which is the subject property, and you own both the narrow parcel immediately adjacent, and do you own the parcel that's adjacent to that?
Yes.
With the larger house on it?
Yes.
And is that house still on that
No,
property?
the house was torn down, was hit by a tornado.
Okay. Do you know what the setback was from that house, from that structure to the street?
I do not. I know you can see it's running at an angle. And I do know that the house was leveled with my house when it was in existence. So and that's why they're not asking for it to come back the way it was. They're asking for it to be moved in front of my property, in front of my house that was there.
Is your major concern the front setback? That's what it sounds like to me. Do you also have issues with the side setback off the street, or?
I do. I think that's a narrow street. Mm-hmm. In the future, as this neighborhood develops, it could possibly very well be a traffic problem. I mean, how are you going to turn on that street? It's a very narrow street. If somebody's moving in, how are they going to, 18-wheeler can't get down through there. I don't, so I just think, and what about future sidewalks?
Sir, can you see the picture that's on here with that kind of you can see that the house in the aerial view with the kind of lot overlaid on it. So if a house is to go back on essentially the same footprint that the original that house was, it was torn down by a tornado, do you think that would be an issue if it was within that same kind of footprint?
I think so.
It would still be an issue.
Yes, it would.
Okay. Why?
Well, where are they doing that at? What neighborhoods are they doing that at? Who allows that? To have one house sticking out front from, not in compliance with other houses.
Right.
Where are they doing that at?
So you're saying the existing house that was there was sticking out in front as well?
Yeah,
the old house that got torn down?
No, the existing house would be fine.
Okay, well, that's what I'm asking. That's what's shown on the plan on this view here is the existing house that was torn down by the tornado. Okay. That's shown on here. Sure. And so you're saying if it was built back in that same place, that would be not an issue?
I don't think I could say anything about that.
Okay.
But giving them a variance on the other side would be problematic to me.
Right.
But as a community in general.
Sure. Yeah. I think I understand what you're saying. Yeah. And I guess we don't have anything showing what that existing house was set back from the street or from the property line from the right of way.
No, it looks like, so with this being a non-conforming lot area, and of course, the zoning code that requires a 20-foot setback would have been adopted after the homes on the street were constructed. So, but we don't know what that prior setback was. Okay. But the new home would have to be a 3-foot setback from the interior. And it appears that it's pretty close to the lot line on both sides.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I was asking. Is it looks like this the old house that was torn down by a tornado may be within a couple of feet of the lot line there. So that's why I was kind of asking that question. My other question would be: do we know if this was properly noticed to the neighbors? Do we have?
Oh, yes. Yes. And the gentleman here, Mr. Lee, came and spoke to me, and actually he had the letter with him. So, yes, we do know that it was properly noted.
Let me ask you kind of a question. May I speak? Okay. What happens if a few years come back now and I come to this board and say, I want to pull my property line up? Will y'all let me?
We can't answer. Okay. That's really an advisory opinion, and we'd have to know what the circumstances were at the time and those kind of things. We just couldn't do that for you. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I do want to make it clear, though, there's nothing in this case is asking for a property line to be moved. The property line.
I mean the variance. If I want to, in the future, I want a variance request. You're going to approve mine?
We can't speak to that, but yeah.
We don't know if we're gonna approve this.
So is the house that was next to yours, the lot that, up on the screen, it says 41.8, was that house destroyed in the tornado too, or is it still existing?
I'm sorry, you talking about the corner lot?
No, I'm talking about,
The third one.
The 1704, yes, that house is destroyed.
Still there?
I lived there.
you live in this one, right?
I think you're speaking about
No, I'm talking about-
06.
Oh, no, that house was hit, but it didn't get tore down.
Okay, so it's still there?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
And I talked to the guy that owns the property, and he told me he wasn't in agreement with that. But he could not make it.
Okay, any further questions?
One further question. When you said that it wasn't properly noticed, that people didn't receive letters, were there signs at the property?
No. There's only one sign.
There was one sign?
One sign, on the property, on the corner lot was one sign.
Okay,
Picture
thanks.
of the raw lot that you showed.
Yes, when I went out to take a picture, the sign needed to be modified, so you could see it there, but it wasn't in red. So I asked them to change it, submit another photo. They did that. I went out again, and it was the one that they sent me in the photo.
Did you have a question? Okay. Thank you, sir. We're going to let the applicant come back up. They've got some time left.
I think I turned it off. I don't understand where his concern is coming from because we're not trying to do anything outside of improving the neighborhood to what today's standards are for that area. Our goal is not to make his property any less marketable or unvaluable. I think us putting a house there that is up to what's happening in the neighborhood is going to make his property more valuable in the future, in my opinion. As to not noting that this was going on, the letters have been sent to everyone. There's a sign over there. He offered the client a price that was not acceptable based on what's selling over there, and he has every right not to accept. Him not accepting that offer does not mean he's not in hardship. If he's willing to sell his lot to us for $70,000, we're more than happy to take it. And he was offered as well to sell that next to him, and he didn't agree to that as well. So I don't see where the argument is coming from when it comes to that.
A question I had, we had a photograph up, and I don't know if you saw it earlier, that showed, I think, an image of the older house that was there. Was that how, is the new structure that's being proposed to be building, is it wider or is it narrower than the house that was there previously, or is it the same width?
Right now, what we have presented to you guys is basically what was originally there. That was what we had presented. We want to reduce the setbacks to see if we can potentially, if they decide to build a two-story home to make more square footage, to be up to what the neighborhood is currently doing over there. I mean, 1,100, it was under 1,200 square feet. And if we in the future want to do a two-story, we can at least add another 500-600 square footage to it. I don't see how it would negatively affect anything that's going on in the neighborhood. We're not asking to go over, I mean, we're still going to stay within those setbacks, just a little reduction. There's still going to be the sidewalk over there. People are still going to be able to go around and not have an issue. I just don't see the argument.
Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry.
Mr. Chairman might have had a question. Did you have a question, Mr.?
I did not. No. I was about to ask if anybody else did, so.
So the plans that were submitted, and I'm going to rely on my architects, but I thought it was a one-story house that I'm looking at, unless I missed something. Did I miss something?
It is a one-story. What we have submitted for you for that is a one-story home, what was initially there, and that's the plan, and this is how he's gonna either try to build that home or try to sell that lot. If he's able to get the money that he needs to build that structure, that plan that we have sent you, he's gonna go ahead and build it. If not, he's gonna go ahead and sell the property with the updated setbacks with that floor plan to a potential person, and from there, they take over as to what they wanna.
No, I understand that, but you just mentioned a two-story house, and so I was confused because what the plan was a one-story house.
It's a one-story house. It's, right now, that's what we're planning to do. I don't think they're financially at the moment capable of building a home. What I'm saying is if somebody decides later on to come back and build something or put in a request for a two-story house, then they have to go through the same process that we're going through right now. I don't think the setbacks would, even with the current setbacks, putting that same house on the property does not allow us to do that.
Okay, that was my
Yeah.
question.
Joey, does a variance does not transfer with ownership, does it?
Variances run with the land.
They do run with the land?
Yeah,
Okay, I was curious.
this board had a bad habit in the early 90s of condition upon an applicant, and we were told, don't do that.
Okay.
But it runs with the land.
Okay, thanks.
Yes.
Let me ask you guys this. If we sold the property to him for $70,000 with the market during the tornado, do you think we could possibly buy a house for $70,000? Let's just be honest.
Well, it's like we told him.
Yeah, no, I'm just-
Our job is to listen and try to make a decision, but we don't.
And when
we're not
we-
here to answer questions.
Yeah, no. And when we bought the house, we did a lot of upgrades to it. And so when we lost it in a tornado, maybe like a few months, maybe 6-7 months later. And during the tornado, he wasn't there. So I don't know if he says he lives there or his daughter lives there. I know we saw his daughter there and we helped her out during the tornado, but Mr. Lee does not live in that neighborhood. And the letters, we mailed those out. I believe it was like beginning of,
Before the 10th.
yeah, we mailed it out. I want to say January 2nd, 1st or 2nd, those went out, maybe even 3rd. And the sign, we did make it a lot bigger when she called us to make sure it was more visible. So I'm not sure why people weren't aware. And then he said he got the letter. So we mailed out over 300 letters. And that's a huge cost. So I'm not
Mr.
sure.
Chair, may I make an inquiry here?
Sure.
I've got a threshold issue that I need to get by, and I really don't care about what the opponent said or your response back to him, if you wouldn't mind. Give me a hardship. That's what I'm looking for. Give me some hardship that's not financially driven, I guess is the best way. Did I steal it from you this time? Yeah, of course you can. I'm just looking for, I've got to get to a starting point
Yeah.
and before I can go any further. And that burden is actually on you guys. So once you get us there, I can, now that doesn't necessarily mean anybody else up here has that issue like I do, but without a hardship, I'm stuck.
Our hardship has been, everybody that has looked at this property has told us, coming to codes, that this lot is unbuildable with the current setbacks. That is our hardship.
Okay, so what I'm hearing you say, because of the size of the lot, it's too narrow and you need to make adjustments based on that. So it's the lot size that is your hardship.
Yes, and those setbacks make it unbuildable.
We have a legal threshold that we have to have, and that's kind of where I was trying to get to. I wasn't trying to pick on you or anything like
No, I
that. I'm
understand.
just trying to get to where
Yeah.
we have jurisdiction to do something.
Yep.
Any more questions? Okay, thank you. We'll close the public hearing and discuss.
Bring it on in. Oh, I mean, I'll just say, I don't see any kind of hardship for the front setback. That there's nothing for that. For the side setback, I see a hardship, because if it's a 25-foot lot and you've got 13 foot of between 3 foot on one side, 10 feet on the other, that's a 12-foot wide lot, and that's virtually unbuildable. I mean, that's just, you can't do that. You need some kind of whether it needs to go down to 0 feet. I mean, I think maybe a compromise of 2 feet there on the side setback is reasonable. But I do see a hardship and it is, obviously the one next to it is the same width, but the rest of the ones on the street are 40 or 50-foot lots. These are 25-foot lots, and that's very, very narrow. So I think I can see a side setback of 2 to 3 feet being appropriate here, but not a front setback.
So Member Newton, I'm on the same page with you. But looking at the floor plan they submitted, it's tight. I mean, it's a pretty efficient plan. So reducing the width of that plan at all, I mean, I think it would be difficult. So, I'm on board to have the 0 foot setback.
Yeah, I'm with Mr. Cole on this, chiefly because, I mean, I'm looking at the photo that's here of the prior residence, and I wouldn't say I'm gifted at eyeballing the distance between a property and the lot line, but it appears that the prior residence would have been within the 3 feet side setback on the interior side, and pretty close to the property line within the setback of the other side there. So, yeah, I'm ambivalent, I guess, on the front, but the only other thing I would say is that I would note, if you look at the structure that's that's numbered 41.8 here, I believe that we had there was something in there that showed that residence was actually at 13.8 feet, and that the one that's marked as 31.4 right next to it is 21.4 feet. So, I mean, I think that the concept of this street and alignment, I don't really know that there's much of a there.
Which I think this is the plat. I mean, it's kind of
exactly.
It's not contextual.
Correct. Right. And I've not heard any testimony that it would necessarily impair the value of the neighbor's property. That's persuasive to me. So I'm with Mr. Cole on the 0 foot setback on the side.
So I agree with Mr. Newton, actually, because when I read the packet at first, I was like, the stated hardship isn't a hardship. It wasn't. And then as I listened to the testimony, I can get to a side setback. I agree with you. It's obvious. But I do think that if it's going to be tight, then to Mr. Cole's point, then I would prefer then just to approve the variance based off of the site. Like, you can build what you submitted, and then that's it. Whatever that is, like, this is the plan that you submitted. So if that's 0 feet, then that's fine. But I think there was a lot of conjecture, and I just don't like conjecture when it comes to approving variances. And so if we're going to approve it based off of that site plan, but I don't see us, like, I agree with Mr. Logan, I'm sorry, my brain is, but I agree with you in the sense that I didn't see that for the front, but I do understand you guys' points on the sides.
And frankly, I have a hard time with the 0 foot, because you know that the footer of a 0 foot setback is going to extend into the right of way at that point. You know, if your edge of wall is going to at 0 feet, your footer underground is going to be in that right of way. And I kind of have an issue with that, because you're getting off the property at that point. So I would, I think something more like a 1 foot at a minimum, or even 6 inches, just to give it some. After some of our other cases that have come down to 6-inch setbacks, I was thinking like
last meeting.
Yeah, well, you said it, not me, but I mean, I don't want to get into any kind of issues with that where they end up being built kind of not on their property. So I would be more comfortable with it.
That is an exceptionally great point.
Okay.
Member Davis, so do you have some, I guess, apprehension on just giving them the setbacks and then the possibility of coming back and building something different that was not presented in this case?
Yeah, that's my concern, just based off of what the stated hardship was in the application. Well, yeah,
Okay. But do you have opposition if it's something different, something tall, skinny, 2-3 stories, if it's within those setbacks?
So honestly, I don't care what's built there as long as it's built within
The setback.
what we set, right? But I just noticed that, like, initially when I read through the application, I was like, well, that's not really a hardship. And then, of course, some of the testimony demonstrated one, but that was sort of my concern. And so sometimes I know that we limit our approval to what was submitted. So I wanted to do that here.
So, go ahead, Ms.
I'm
Carter.
gonna say 18 inches because there's a 3-foot required setback.
Yeah.
And then the plan is presented as, the out-to-out dimension is 20 foot 6 inches. So when you add that together, it comes and you subtract from 25 feet, you get 18 inches.
Look at this right on a nice chair.
Wow,
Simple math.
fantastic.
Can you go to Congress maybe?
Well, and I do like that too, because then, whatever roof overhangs are probably not going to be overhanging the property line at that point too. If you have a 16-inch roof overhang, you're still going to have some, so I think that's a valid.
All right, so
Okay, so then,
Well, I was going to say, Ms. Davis, would you be, because I completely hear your point about the as-built and all that, would you be comfortable with numbers that mirrored what is there on the as-built, but doesn't necessarily require just from if contractors have to go tweak or move something here or there, I'd hate to lock in.
Right.
So,
So I will say, that as efficient as this plan is, if we take anything out of the plan, they may have to completely redo this floor plan. I'm just saying that there's a possibility, right? So,
Well, I'm willing to go along with the vice chair solution. Just
Okay.
do it within the inches.
And,
So,
and the porch would be open, it could not be enclosed. We've done that.
Well, I mean, I still don't see a hardship for the front setback. So I would, this is completely deep enough lot. Like I don't see a reason that you need a front setback variance on this. So I don't see any justification for that really. And as the opposition stated there, the further up the house gets, the more it impedes, traffic visibility and things like that. So I don't think you're going to have a big issue here, but that does factor in, I think.
so I can vote for, if the 18 inches is the best we can do, the way I see it is, these folks they're having to come before us because a tornado destroyed their house, and it looks to me, they've got 10 feet to work with. Maybe the footer goes under the ground a little bit, but there's a lot of space there. It looks to me like the former residence I don't even see 18 inches there, and I do think whenever you're looking at a lot this narrow, and it is definitely unique from the other lots. You got so little buildable area, and they didn't create this. That's why I asked, did y'all buy this and then split the lots? Because I think that would be a self-imposed hardship. So I just think that, I would be more comfortable with zero, because I think there's a lot of room to work with there, and I think they just don't have much. With 25 feet, 18 inches is a lot. Maybe with 50 feet, it's not as much. The 2.5 feet on the front is not a huge ask in my mind. I get what Mr. Newton is saying, which is that you could push the house back. I think you could do that. I do think, though, if you look at the way if you look at 41.8, which is still there, and I think we heard that's like a 13-foot setback. It just seems like the way this lot developed before the tornado was everybody was really close to the street. 2 houses were destroyed in a tornado, and then the one that's left is really close. So, but I think it can be pushed back 2.5 feet, and they can still get the same buildable area. But my preference would be not to require the 18 on the side, because I think it's a really, really tight build here. So
I will also note that their survey that's in the package shows the kind of rear, and it's getting back to those old surveying techniques. The rear of the property is 24.14 feet, and the front is 25.29. So I think even if you did 6 inches or a foot, that gives a little bit of wiggle room to figure that out and get it right without having to come back before us or do something like that. So, that's just with the, geometries of the lot, it may be better to do just slightly less than that. So I'm going to make a motion, and y'all can either decide to second or just say no. But I'm going to make a motion that we deny the front variance as that was requested, but approve a side street setback of 1 foot from the property line, based on the unique characteristics of the lot and the unusual shape of the lot within the block face.
I'll second that.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All right, all in favor, say aye. Raise your hand. All opposed? That passes. Right, so where you are is that you did not get a variance for the front, so you have to push the building back 2.5 feet, but with respect to the side setback, you've got to be set back 1 foot from that side property line. Okay, any further business, any further cases? Or did anybody show up?
Yes, I saw someone come in, and so are you here on 146 Harris?
Yes.
Okay, all right, we'll go back to that case then. At this time, we're going to resume our business. We have another hearing, so yes, I'm going to make the presentation.
1 foot, 12 inches, the side setback, yeah.
Right. Case 2022-163.
And is there any opposition to that case or just the applicant here? Are you the applicant, sir, for 163? Okay. All right, and so that's your dad, that's not opposition, I'm assuming. Okay, all right, you can come on up and.
Okay, and then I'll just go through my slides really quickly.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, sure.
So I'm sorry, if you'll sit back down just a second, I jumped.
Oh, yeah, I mean, it's fine. We don't mind if they would like to sit at the front. Yeah, just wanted to go through PowerPoint really quickly. So this is a request for approval of a 0 setback addition to a non-conforming residential structure at 146 Harris Street, zoned OR 20. The subject structure was constructed. I did read through the caption earlier, but I don't recall if I went through the slides. So actually, okay, yes, I did. We did see these slides. Thank you. I'm sorry, Mr. Chair. Once I started reading it, I remembered. So how about I just go through these really quickly? You all will recall that it's effectively a 0 setback. It's an existing rear structure. And it was, they submitted a request in 2010. It looked like this at the time. There was no permit. There were some issues raised about stormwater, life safety due to the exterior structure needed to be 1 year fire rated material, which was not appended to that structure. It's in the floodway. And this is the site plan that was submitted by the applicant where it says proposed building addition. It's actually an existing addition that they're requesting to be permitted. And just a final note that this is in front of the Davidson County Environmental Court at this time. So that's it. You all will have 5 minutes to make a presentation before the board. So if you'd like to come back up to the table, before you get started, if you would please push the button. There's a little, looks like a little person type of icon button there. Push the button and then just go ahead and state your name and address for the board, and then you can go ahead and get started.
My name is Milton Paredes. We are doing the...
Can you state your address, please, for the record?
146 Harris Street, Madison, Tennessee, 37115.
All right, thank you.
No problem. All right. Our issue is just that we did actually get... priorly, we did get a permit, but we didn't get the approval like the lady said, from stormwater. We had everything else down. We did everything that we could to validate or work around something else, but they wouldn't budge for anything. Not any single request that we gave them, they didn't want to take it. That's why we just left it priorly. And then since this year, they allowed us to come back and work for getting a permit and finishing the structure. We came back and with the same plan that we had previously, just build it with 1 hour fire resistant plans, get everything that you guys really wanted us to go forward so we can actually finish the structure. We also got the plans that you all requested for it as well. I'm not sure what else you guys need that we would actually be willing to do so we can actually finish the structure and get the green light for this.
Can you clarify, there's some photos we've seen of the structure. Is your proposal to tear that structure down and put a new structure in place, or
No, it's just to finish the structure, to completely finish building the structure. That's their plan.
Okay, when was this original structure built?
Around 2011.
So
What year was that?
2011.
2011.
Yeah, 2011.
So I just need some clarification. We've got a case pending before the environmental court. Joey?
Yes, sir. And we postponed that one pending the outcome of this variance.
So we've got a
Because he's
judge
gotta get a
looking
permit
at
for
it, and they want to use this kind of as an end around. I'm just trying to.
Oh, no. To be able to get final permits and everything approved, he needs a variance and obtain the permit for which was applied.
Does that moot the environmental court?
It would I don't know the specific citation. If the citation was for, hey, you didn't get a permit, then it would. But if
it was for something else
going on
here, it's still out there. Okay.
So in the way I understand it, Mr. Lawless, there are significant issues with stormwater. So in that regard, and with the construction material. So if we approve the variance, which we have done twice before, and they just hadn't got it permitted and built, then they still, it is not giving them a pass with either stormwater or with the codes folks.
Just one piece in the puzzle.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it, or one.
Thank you, sir.
And this is a non-conforming structure case, so we don't need a hardship. We're just looking for the degree of non-conformity.
Whether you believe it's an appropriate addition. Like I said, Chairman said that I can remember in 2010 or 11 when I worked here before that this was the case on that agenda. I think that photograph that Elizabeth showed was one I took from back then. So it's been out there a little.
You're dating yourself.
Yeah, well, 50 on it.
We were commenting on this hairline a little bit earlier before we started.
Any further questions from the applicant? Okay, thank you. We're going to close the public hearing. We're going to discuss it. So, comments?
Mr. Lawless, to answer your question, it looks like there are 3 violations cited in the civil warrant. So this would only impact the parents, seemingly one of them, but there's a couple others that I guess looks like they would.
Yeah, court's still
But that relates to the open storage and some other stuff. So I don't know that, we're necessarily treading on the jurisdiction of Referee Hirsch.
And so, Mr. Hart, as I understand the standard is for a non-conforming structure is we have to determine whether it increases the degree of non-conformity is essentially.
But you've got kind of two. You've got one under 1740-180, which is under the BZA section, where it just says that the board shall determine the appropriateness of changes to non-conforming uses or structures. And then the second one is in 1746-60, and it says a non-conforming structure may be enlarged or converted to another use, provided there's no increase of the degree of non-conformity in that section. So,
But that's conversion to another use. That's not building a new structure. Is that the way I understand it?
or it's or converted to another use. So, so that section is a non-conforming structure may be enlarged or converted to another use, provided there's no increase of the degree of non-conformity. So, kind of been this office's position that, to answer that question, we look at what's the non-conformity. It's the side setback. Are they going any closer to the property line? Well, obviously, no, they can't, because, so there's not an increase, and it is an extension of that already existing. But we've kind of always looked at it, was the non, are they coming closer to the property line than they were? Not so much the intensity of it. So let's take our previous case, those houses out there set, some of them 5 feet from the street. If someone came in and wanted to enclose the front porch, we'd send them to this board because it's an addition to a non-conforming structure. And we've already kind of made the determination that they're not coming close to the road. If they were coming close to the road, that difference, the 5 feet versus 3, that would be a variance for that 2 foot there. So it'd be both an item D and a variance. So that's why this one was an item D, was an addition. That existing house was already sitting in.
Yeah, because there's not a rear setback issue.
No, they're beyond 20 feet from the rear property line. Now, stormwater has some issues with, there's some drainage out there along that rear property line, but that's really not for it.
I do want to clarify. So do you know, Joey, and we may have to bring the applicants back up for this, but there are some plans in here that show the proposed structure 2 feet from the property line. And then 2010 and 2013, it shows it being 2 feet from the property line. The survey from 2011 shows it being 0.6 feet. Do we know which one of those we're looking at here? Or what do you guys understand to be what they're asking for?
My understanding, the latter survey, the 2011 survey that went with the BZA appeal at that time, showed less than a foot.
Okay.
And that's what we're understanding the setback to be.
And just for clarity, if there are any roof eaves, and those are not able to overhang the neighboring property under your codes, regardless of what our determination is here today.
That's right. It could not cross the property boundary.
Okay, thanks.
Well, I mean, I think taking that view that has been taken before, it doesn't increase the nonconformity. And I know that we look at each case individually, and there is no precedent. But I can't help but ignore that it's been approved twice before. And I mean, it is the thing I looked at when I looked at the package, and I had to convince myself that, and I am convinced that just our approving this is not giving them a get out of jail card free on stormwater or the construction. So they're going to have to go through those departments. So
That sounds like a good motion.
okay, well, I'll make it a motion. I'll make it a motion that we approve the application. Okay, so there's a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Being none, all in favor, say aye, raise your hand. All opposed? 2 opposed and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4. So, okay. All right. Thank you. I believe, how about a motion to adjourn? A second. All right. All in favor? All right, we're adjourned.
I believe we were an hour today.
Yeah. Well.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information on this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.